Hello, everyone. Welcome to the September koha-US Cataloging Special Interest Group. I had one thing that I wanted to bring to the group to see if anybody else has noticed. I have started printing spine labels and barcodes from Koha. And when I open an item record and edit items, and I select print, I can then go to my batch, print a spine label and it's beautiful, print a barcode and it's beautiful, and the barcode has our library name on it and it looks all spiffy. But if I go to the new print a range of barcodes feature, which is terrific, our library name is not appearing on it. Has anybody else noticed this? I'm wondering if it's something I'm doing wrong or something I missed. Okay, I'll look into it some more. Yeah, I'm thinking this might be something that I'll also bring to the system administration group, because there might be a setting somewhere or in setting up the template that I missed, something like that. So I'll bring it also to that group and let people know what I find out.
Yeah, we order barcodes, I think, from Demco, which makes it a lot easier, except we use the spiffy ones that don't work all that well with our barcode readers. That's okay.
Oh, yeah. So far, I have a lot of blank label stock, and I'm using ancient Zebra TLP 2844 printers. These little tiny things, but they're just little workhorses, and so I figure I'm going to use that as long as I still have the blank stock, and then maybe as I get to the end of that, investigate things.
Yeah, that's what I did with our spine labels.
Heather, it looks like you add that in on the layout rather than the, so there's like 4 different things you do in the label maker, and the layout is where the name gets added. So it could be that when you're selecting the layout, the layout isn't picking that up, and maybe that is a bug with the print range. We don't use it, so I can't comment, but
yeah, I thought I'll double check that I'm picking the correct layout both times, and then do an experiment where I'm trying to print like the very same barcode both times to eliminate most of the variables. Yeah, thank you.
Is this in the 2211? Which version of Koha?
It was, we just got upgraded to 2111, but it was also happening in 2105.
Okay.
Mhm.
I haven't figured out how to add our library name to barcode yet. We've been using an outside source because we're wanting to print barcodes that don't exist yet.
Yes.
In Koha, which I think the new one does, except
Yes.
for we use a 3-letter library code prefix, and Koha doesn't like that.
Mm-mm.
It won't let me. It still won't let me print a range of barcodes. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, I've got the library name on. Actually, I could share my screen. Why don't I share my screen and show you all really quickly, and then we'll get to Fred's questions. Let me pull it up here, get into, okay. I'll share my screen, and I will not be afraid to flail a little bit since I'm new at this. So if
you're among friends.
Exactly, and call out hints. All right, share my screen. Okay, are y'all seeing my Koha?
Yes.
Okay. So I believe I go to Tools. And Label Creator. And then label batch, I think so. And let me just put in something here randomly. This one should exist. Yay. Okay, then if I go to export, at this point I can pick a barcode or a spine label, but I'm just going to do the barcode since that's what's under discussion. Export, download as PDF. Open. And there's our library name and the barcode number all dark and pretty. And it also has the barcode number underneath the barcode, but that prints out very lightly. So I figured this duplicate barcode number at the top dark is not a problem, not a bad idea. And I can show you my template. I mean, my layout. Thank you, Jason. And yeah, there we go, barcode. And I'm just going to go to edit so you can see it. So I have holding branch description in position 1 and barcode in position 2, and the rest of it is just blank. Although I was thinking of experimenting and adding some of these things just to see what they looked like. Text justification left, font times bold, font size 8. So that's what's working pretty well. Cancel. But now if I go new barcode range, and I'm going to pick a number that we totally don't have. Let's see, 5. Print range, barcodes, barcode 1, export, download the PDF. Open. No library name and no nice dark barcode number. Right now, this isn't the worst problem we have in the world because I actually have a stamp with our name that fits right here. So I'm just doing old school rubber stamping, but I'll stop my share.
Another thing you could do is just, create a template in Word or something that would fill in the stuff that's on your stamp. Not that that helps anything.
Right. I mean, if for some reason I lost the stamp.
Yes.
Could it be that it's not working because that information for those numbers isn't in Koha yet?
That's
It
kind
doesn't
of
exist.
right.
So
That's what
it
I'm kind
doesn't
of wondering.
know to look for it.
Right. It's not tied to any particular item record, and that holding library exists in item record. So maybe it's the way the barcode range tool is set up that it just doesn't know any place else to look for the information. And if that's the case, then I was thinking maybe I found something I should file a bug for. Oh, hi, Donna.
Hi, I'm just lurking. It's definitely a bug. The whole idea with the barcode label is that you're supposed to be able to like print out a sheet with all of that stuff on it and just slap it on as you go. So I'm actually testing it in 2205 so I can identify where that issue is, but I'll take care of filing a bug for it.
We found a bug, everyone. We found a bug.
One thing you could try is making a new layout where you're not using a database field to pull that. So you can, like, if you put it in quotes, you can put the name in quotes and just put like arbitrary text. So you could try putting it won't pull the barcode number up into up there, but it might put the name on.
I'll try that. That might really work in the meantime.
And it looks like I have that set up with single quotes in one of my layouts. So worth a shot at least.
Yeah, I'll definitely try that because that would be something easy to plug in and then take away when the bug gets fixed. Great. Well, Donna, thank you. If you can let us know when that's filed, because I will definitely put myself on the CC list for that one.
Well, and now I've gotten distracted because this is kind of one of my first looks at 2205. And in tools, there's now something called Barcode Image Generator.
Ooh.
Which I need to find what that is, but I need to focus.
Ooh, I want to look that up. I mean, if we could put a logo, that would look so pro. Well, great. Thank you everyone for the help. Now, Fred, you mentioned you had some cataloging questions.
Well, yes. First of all, yeah, maybe you should go get your pearls, Heather. Anyone else? But over the weekend, just because I didn't feel like doing anything else, major avoidance of a lot of stuff, I decided to see if I could put all my Audible books in Koha. And it used to be you could download everything to a spreadsheet, no more. So ended up listing my library, copy, paste. So I have about 800 titles. And what I ended up extracting was the title, author, narrator, series, and brief description, which usually trails off with an ellipsis after about 10 words. So someday when I'm really bored or recovering from surgery or something, I'll go back and add subject headings and stuff. But all the authors and narrators are first name, last name. It looks like I can search on first name or last name. Any other problems other than pearl clutching and fainting if I don't do last name, first name? And looks like I put narrator in what LOC, what is it? Mark 21 format for bibliographic data, which I now have on my toolbar. Put it in, I think, 511, but I'd like it to appear in the item record, not as one of the tabs. Is there a better place? One of the 700s?
Well, your 511 is your credits note. I think that's icing on the cake, whether or not you have your credits in a 511 or not, and whether or not the 511 is visible in the description tab. I would say, of course, check your framework and make sure it's visible in the OPAC and the staff client.
It is, but then you have to click at the bottom, more information or tabs or.
If you want it searchable in various indexes, especially if you've got Elasticsearch, then it is important to have the names in 700s. I always say, whether you're doing first name, last name, first name, that's always a cultural preference. It's many cultures have, the order of family name, forename, last name. It just depends on how you're going to sort your catalog, whether you want to, when you want to sort on that field, how do you want it sorted? That's how that's going to affect it. And if you're going to match it to, if you're going to ever try to match it to anything, like if you're going to take these records out and put them into MARCEDIT, and you're going to want to match or draw or search based on author from other catalogs, then you're going to want it matching with those other catalogs.
That's where I also have the cartoon book collection in the Cheerful Valley Public Library. I was looking at it yesterday and no, day before yesterday, wasn't there. Domain had expired. Yeah, some are last name, comma, first name, some are first name, last name, but they're such different collections. I may file it under a foolish consistency as the hobgoblin of little minds.
And again, this is something too that MarcEdit can do. It's you're getting really fancy, but I think there was a discussion maybe on the MarcEdit listserv. I'm forgetting exactly where I saw it, but there was a discussion about how you can do this in MarcEdit. It's very fancy.
Yeah, I can do it in Excel too. Just, or LibreOffice, just replace all the spaces with a say percent and do CSV, and the delimiter is percent. So you have a column of last names, first name.
I also wonder if you're doing authority control and you have linked authorities, if in your authority record you put a 400 for the first name, last name, so it matched, if it would catch that in the records and then flip them correctly. But that would be name by name.
I've heard of authority control. I've never tried it.
Would the indicators for the author matter? So like
Yes.
last name, first name needs to be a 1 blank, and first name, last name needs to be a 0.
Again, it matters in some systems. I don't think Koha particularly cares, but I think if you're trying to do something like put your records into MarcEdit and search, or if you're trying to match other systems care.
I know Koha wants it there
Yes.
because we have enough records that it's not there. And the results are screwy.
Yes. Yeah, but I think but I don't know in search results that Koha particularly cares if it's correct, because I've stumbled across mistakes that, who knows who made them. And the searching still worked, but I've been editing the record and I see it and I was like, oh my gosh. And I fixed it.
Yeah, the 245 indicators.
Oh yeah, those are
matter.
Super. The second indicator in the 245 super matters. That's the one that controls where you file the title and where it's going to sort.
The first one does too.
Ooh.
Because we have journals for every library. And so there's some that come after other titles. And I'm like, what in the world? And it was because the author indicator was wrong. It either had a 0 and there was nothing, or it had like a 1 and there was nothing in the 100, or it was
that can screw it up. Oh, also, I'm so glad you mentioned titles. I almost forgot to mention, we noticed in our Elasticsearch configuration that the 246 variant titles were not appearing in all the indexes that we wanted. So we made sure that they were appearing in things like a title phrase search, that sort of thing. So I would recommend that people who are on Elasticsearch take a look at your settings for where the 246 appears, because the 246 is kind of new. In olden days, variant titles used to be more often in a 740. So, but 246 appeared along the way. So your variant titles can be in 246s or 740s. And take a look in your search settings and make sure that those fields are appearing in all the indexes you'd like them to: keyword, title, title phrase, variant titles, etc.
I
In
have a
the-
question on the whole somewhat title search. So we've got connecting records
Mhm.
and the title that's got on like index. We're trying to figure out how to index the fields. What we're running into if we use the 773 to index it, and I limit it by my library, it won't show up. Like the parent record will show up, but the child records will not show up when
On
it's limited by the library.
On your child records, do you have item records for that library on the child record?
They're using the same barcode. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, others may know way more about this than I do, but we have to enhance the searching of our child records. We put an item record with no barcode on them that says with something with the call number. It says something like magazine article, and there's no barcode, but there is a location and a holding library. So the limiting works. But that item record saying like article and the item type article alerts the user that this is something in something else, and you've got to go to the something else to find out the exact call number.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I've been trying to figure out like what fields are used to indexed by the when you say filter by library, where is it looking? When you filter by title or search by title, where is it looking?
Others, please correct me if I'm mistaken here, but I believe it's looking in items.
Okay.
But again, I have a single library. I'm not in a consortium. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Of course. And let us know how it goes.
Will do.
Well, does anybody have anything else? Everybody registered to go to KohaCon, and if you're not registered, registration closed yesterday, but there are a bunch of really nice folks. I have a feeling that if you registered today, it would be okay. And it's going to be hybrid. Those of us who can't travel like me are still going to be able to attend and participate.
And if that's not incentive enough, anyone who attends, meet the chicken.
The celebrity.
The Koha mascot.
Yes.
I thought that was an eagle and a kiwi.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a possum. There's artwork floating around with koha-US possum logos.
I think we really, really, really need to see those.
I think I have. It took a while for me to recover.
I put the link to the conference website in the chat. We are going to have yet another cataloging SEG in September too. So we'll have one at the conference, which will be super fun as always. Well, does anybody have anything else cataloging related or tech services related, or you're not sure if it's related? Oh, yes. I have a hand raised.
Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, so this might be too big a topic to kind of bite into, but Fred brought it up and I was thinking the same thing.
Oh, we're not
I'm
afraid
sorry.
of big topics.
Okay.
Just, yeah, go for it.
That's great to hear. Well, he mentioned authority records, authority work.
Well, sort of.
Yeah, and I've not done any of it myself. And I was just wondering if anybody had any best practices or good tips to get started.
Yeah. I see you shaking your head, Donna.
Yes, actually, I consider this a the decision, yes, no, what's that called?
The flow chart.
Thank you. I know it was something complicated like that. Okay, how large is your library? Are you part of a consortium? Does it really matter?
Mm.
And in my case, no, no, and no.
Yes, I mean, for a lot of libraries, it doesn't really matter. Our library, it matters a great deal because we're extremely specialized. We're a maritime history museum. So our users come in and oftentimes they're things like historic shipwriggers that are putting in very specific terms. And if they don't get hits on that, they'll be like, oh, well, there's nothing. I'm not surprised. But in a public library, you know, how often are they, I mean, if most of your public library users are putting in very general terms that satisfy a keyword search, then maybe you don't really need it.
It looks like she's from community college.
Exactly. So
And
in a
it's not-
community college, you're starting to get users who probably are going to start using subject terms and want to come across subject terms. And a great example is the recent discussion of, you know, people are doing research and they put in undocumented and they're not finding anything. And the Library of Congress heading was illegal aliens. And I'm like, what? So there are various ways to do authority control. And I always think of authority control as a spectrum. There's, on one end is absolute perfect authority control. You have an authority record for every single controlled heading, every name, every place, every subject heading, and all of the headings in your koha record, your koha bibliographic records that should be linked are linked, and it's glistening and it's shiny and it's perfect, and that does not exist. That's like a platonic ideal. And then at the other end of the spectrum is utterly no authority control at all. But as I said, for a lot of libraries, it's fine. You have a collection full of really recent books, and most of your records came from sources like the Library of Congress. So it's fine. And your users are finding what you want. And for most collections, we want to exist somewhere in between. So if you have money, but no staff, I mean, who's in that position? But some people are. You can send your database to a vendor and they will run the database against a database of authority records, correct things, match them up, and return your database with corrected records and the authority records matching them. And then the records that they couldn't match that need some, you know, intervention, and you're in a really great place to then look at those records that didn't match, that are probably things like very specialized items for your institution, et cetera, et cetera. If you have no money but a lot of staff time, and that's my setting, we have no special funds, I simply, you know, worked on getting some reports that are things like, you know, I concentrated on headings that I knew were local terms that were old and not helpful. And I had this special vocabulary set and I started to work on that. I'm working through those. Then I have reports of headings that are not linked to authority records. I'll look at those, you know, subjects first, because those I know are messiest in my library. Names, I'm not so worried about because our researchers tend to keyword search on the names anyway, et cetera, et cetera. So I always say it's a way of trying to figure out how most of your users are using your catalog. And for this, I talked to our reference staff and people searching, and just did a lot of conversations like, how are you searching? What are you not finding? And tried to make my approach for authority control really based on helping the user.
Okay, thank you, Heather.
Oh, of course. And we are here. We are here for questions. We are here for, also, and we have the email list too, if you'd like to share any, questions, thoughts, progress. There's a lot of really helpful reports for getting at things and getting at these headings on the report wiki and also in Mana.
I think what I've learned most here is it doesn't matter as much as we think it does.
I'm going to dispute that, Fred.
Go ahead.
I work for a small consortium of public and community college libraries. When you don't do authority control, you end up touching all of the illegal alien records, every single one. You touch all of the Vietnam War records because those headings are huge and changed. The cookery records all changed a few years ago. If you have authority control, you change the authority record and it flips all of the attached headings. If you don't have authority control, you're touching every record.
Oh,
It is a way to save time and to make things consistent. You touch one thing, it affects the entire chain. You don't have that set up, you're kind of up a creek. Okay. And
Well spoken.
I don't know, it always looks stupid to me when I go to a library and Linus Pauling is still alive. I mean, the bibliographic undead are just scary.
mhm.
And I hate
Exactly.
having my library catalog look stupid to people who know that this person just died.
Yeah, in Koha, to
That's mine.
overlay an authority record, it will match on the 010 field in the authority record. And for my bib records that are linked to an authority record, when it changes or I want to change it, I can just bring in a new one and it overlays on that 010 and boom, all the linked headings are updated and that's all I've had to do. Or I simply add the
Yeah.
death date.
The other thing is
Mhm.
you do have to have a cron job run so that it updates the authorities when you've edited them or put the new ones in, that kinds of thing. It links, but it doesn't catch everything all the time. But that one, as the overnight cleanup, the housekeeping staff does a wonderful job there. Anyway, sorry, thanks. I have to go to the next
No.
meeting and I appreciate this. Thank you very much.
Glad you joined us and chimed in, Jane.
Yeah. I will rebut your answer
Yes, sir.
after you leave.
Just go ahead. I won't.
I will say circumstances matter. And it's in my library, any of the libraries I run, it's not as significant as it is with your library.
In library school, my professor's favorite phrase, they started every answer any student asked with, well, it depends. And then they would answer our question.
Same with copyright.
Yeah, it depends. So,
Yes, but there are no authority control laws.
I'm wanting to know how to batch edit, like add authority control numbers to words that have them and words that. So half of our catalog has the authority linked, but then I have others that have the exact same wording in the subject, but it's not linked to authority control. And
Yeah,
I'm wanting to do it like in a batch and mark edit, but I've heard somewhere that doesn't work. So I'm still researching.
Yeah, that is a more complicated matter. And again, that's out of my expertise, but if it's actually not matching, there's a reason. And the reason needs to be, you have to troubleshoot that reason.
Okay.
Otherwise, troubleshoot the reason and then they will be linked. If you're simply manually adding the subfield 9 with the authority number, you haven't done the troubleshooting for the reason, and the problem is going to keep occurring.
Lauren, are
Yes.
your indicators right?
I'm not sure
Try
if the
running some
indicators are
reports.
right on all of them.
Either that or I've used MarcEdit and exported records, a chunk of records, and then done the searches on the fields. And when you do that, you can see immediately if the indicators match. And then you can go back and fix that. It's a clunky workaround, but it works. This is where you really do have to do the reports. God help us all. Sorry,
I would
goodbye.
love for you
Thanks
to
a lot.
do a session
Bye.
at the next CoaCon.
Not a chance.
Okay, now that she's gone, let's put her on the schedule for
I've played around a little bit with the batching through mark modification templates, and I have gotten that to work because I know my issue is we had it set up at one point where it was just like bulk duplicating authorities. Like anytime you saved a record, I got a new authority for the same thing because it was all, yeah. So we merged those down, but there's still cleanup to do. But like being able to batch those, and I think you probably could do that mark edit if you bashed in the RLNGs or the 9, but it does seem sort of dangerous. So something else as far as workflows go, you can hook up the Library of Congress subject headings via Z3950 and overlay that way. So we've done that quite a bit, which is another like 1-by-1 staff intensive thing, but we've done that a little bit to clean up our catalog, which has helped.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's such a big project, and I know I have to research it, that it keeps getting to the bottom of the list. And I'm like, one day I'm going to have to look at all these and I'm going to have to figure them all out. And part of the problem also is we're needing language subject headings that LC doesn't provide. So I'm also like, we need to fix this before I clean up, because I need to know what to change stuff to. I mean, the majority of our subjects are languages. So I need to fix that problem before. But I'm wanting a way to do it in batch and not.
Yeah, it's just a matter of the different source for the different source, thesauri and target. Yeah, I did learn that I was changing, well, and yes, it's a huge project, but I found it's a really good telecommuting task. And if you kind of think of it as heading or heading group by heading group, that gives you a sense of satisfaction as you go. But I did recently find out that I was changing, we had a lot of records with 650s in the bibliographic record for commercial catalog. And then genre terms started to become available. So there's a 655 trade catalog, and trade catalog is the more common phrase, of course, that everyone's using, at least in my library. So I had 2 authority records. I had a 150 commercial catalogs and a 155 trade catalogs. And all my bibs with commercial catalogs were not about commercial catalogs. They were actual trade catalogs. And there were lots of headings linked. So I used the merge authority tool to merge the commercial catalog record and the trade catalog record. But my 650s did not turn into 655s. My 650 commercial catalogs did not turn into trade catalogs. And I don't know, like, did I do something wrong, something like that? So I'm working on updating those commercial catalogs to trade catalogs, and I'm going to look for another instance of this happening and keep track of my workflow more, because again, maybe I've discovered something that Koha doesn't do that it could do better. Like if you merge different types of authorities, get the bibs corrected correctly.
See, I keep telling myself, when Koha improves its authorities, then I'll look into it. I'll just keep waiting for it to, get up to where I can do stuff in batch. I figure out how to match my existing with LC without having to pay the money, because we don't have any. I need to know what to do when you have no money and you have no staff.
I would like to know as well. I just lost my extra person who was starting to original catalog, and so now it's just me again. And so I have all the regular copy cataloging and original cataloging again. And it's just like, oh, thank you, Jason. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I think I typed all that in right. If not, let me know.
Well, when you don't have money or staff, you get someone like me who does the best he can under the circumstances. I'd love to do authority control, but I converted koha to koha 2013. It hasn't been an issue yet. I'm going to put this way down on my list of things I really would like to learn, but probably won't.
Well, I got into like authority cleanup. I haven't started a big project yet, but I looked at James Patterson and we have 600 entries. I'm just like, oh no. I'm just like, I gotta merge all those and I don't want to think about it right now.
Yes, in your circumstance, that would make perfect sense. For me, we have a couple thousand books, hardly ever used. Most of our stuff is online. I would love to have author authority control in the author's catalog, because I just upload from MARC edit, well, convert from Medline to MARC with a MARC edit, upload it, and the way it appears in the Medline record is how it goes into the catalog. And it could be, Roland Fairbanks Jr., Terry R. Fairbanks. This is real person. Let's see, I think he has a couple of other. There's one sometimes appears as Aaron Smith or Zachary Smith or Zachary A. Smith or A. Zachary Smith. Yeah. Someday.
I do have a question about names and dead names. And this is, yeah, I'm showing my ignorance. If someone has changed their name, that gets linked to their dead name, correct? But if they have written things under their dead name, you search, you use their dead name for that. But then if they've written things under their new name, you search for the new name? No?
Not usually
Okay.
with the dead name. The dead name will go in the 400 of the authority record as not used anymore. And the current preferred name goes in the 100.
Oh, that's much better.
And yeah, your bibliographic records are going to look a little weird because the 245 is a transcription field. So it's going to, the 245 is going to have title / dead name. But then the 100 on the bibliographic record is going to have new preferred name.
Perfect. That's, I like that much better than how it was explained to me. Okay.
Yeah, and the only time that one tends to have different, like multiple authority records for the same physical being is a physical being who's publishing under different pseudonyms. And then you're going to have different records with 500 see alsos.
Oh no.
Yeah, there are some fiction authors and nonfiction authors that do it, but it's very rare.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are usually pretty well documented in the Library of Congress authority file.
Thank you so much.
Mhm. And a lot of libraries, I mean, I've heard too that, out of respect, if one wants to not be representing a dead name at all in a previously published item, you can do a 245 with the title and then / and then just put in brackets, because we catalogers can do whatever we want in brackets, because the brackets indicate that this is not transcribed from the item, and you can put the current preferred name in the brackets, and even throw in a 500 note saying previously published under different name.
Oh, I love that. Okay, yes. Okay.
Yes, but catalogers could do anything really.
We can. We have such power.
One of my coworkers said, "Oh, didn't know you could do that." And
It's kind of like programming and having like little notes in there, and you don't see it unless you inspect the elements and stuff. Yeah.
you know, as long as it works and helps people find records, and my perspective is very different from someone who works in a consortium with, you know, million titles and 20 branches, and I know that very well. But I don't think anyone in that situation would be coming to me for advice.
I don't know, Fred, you're here and you're a living body and you have knowledge.
Yes, and you have done a lot with Koha, and we appreciate hearing about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, but if someone wanted me to take charge of a huge library now, not for me, no.
That just shows that you're smart and you have, what is that called? Survival skills.
I know the limitations of my time and energy, which is why I am not koha-US president.
Well, does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up? We have a few more minutes.
I have one more thing. If no one has a question, I tried to send it on the reply back on the listserv. I don't know if it went out or not. I finished a cataloging helps guide. Let me share my screen. And I'm wanting feedback onto, yes, this is the stuff I'm wanting or needing, and or could you add something else? So it's not Koha specific. It is like, I am not a cataloger. Where do I go to find this information? So your Z3950 that you just shared, Heather, that I'm needing to add to my little authority section right here. So
yeah, this looks awesome.
I've got, you know, if I'm needing training on MARC and RDA, which is really hard, and then the cheat sheets are my friends. I love cheat sheets. I don't know who the first person was to invent them, but they're wonderful.
I think Jason did the first Koha one.
Doubtful.
Classification tools, the OCLC is my favorite, and then the Dewey to LC and LC to Dewey. Though I don't like the new format of WorldCat. It's harder for me to copy the information. And it was just a frustration with OCLC right now. I didn't know if I should add the MARC edit tools, but I'm like, as a cataloger,
yes,
they're very helpful. Like if you're having to clean up a lot of stuff, I use that. It's more advanced than some of the other, but I was trying to, you know, this is for the beginner, the intermediate.
Yes, and I think that MARC edit is more newbie friendly than people think it is. Once you actually look at it, it's like, oh, okay. And I also appreciate you adding library carpentry, because they provide some excellent free training for people who want to learn just what the possibilities are and a little bit more.
Should I leave library carpentry down here and MARC edit, or move it? That was one that it's like, well, they do everything. They do so much.
I think I would maybe just say like MARC edit and more. Yeah, it's like go for the mark edit, but stay if you
Yeah.
want to actually hear what about some beginner regex.
Yeah, and they also had something on Open Refine,
Yes,
which
is
because I'm like, I
amazing.
wonder if that will help me with my authority control. If I can do, here's the Library of Congress, instead of paying someone, I can use, that's where you use the, I have no money, I have no staff.
Yeah, Open Refine will do some amazing stuff. And I investigated it and I may use it for things like, I don't care if every single one comes out perfect. I just want most of these good enough. Yeah, and the Web Junction, I'm glad you have, because they offer a lot that's free.
I found some others, but you had to pay. And I'm like, you know what? This is for free. This is for people like me who have no money, have no staff, but want to know this information, or where can I go for basic information?
There's some ALA stuff that's also free. Let me see, like the ALA just put out a guide to cataloging comic books and graphic novels that's completely free.
Oh, beautiful. Lauren, have you emailed this out on the listserv?
Okay. I replied all
Okay.
to Heather's email about this meeting.
Okay.
I
don't
did
know
that
if I'm
last
on
night.
there.
So I
Can
don't know.
send you my email?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So ALA guide. That's right. And then I need down here. 3950. Set up. Okay.
So I put a link in the chat to the site for the graphic novel, the free graphic novel. And then that page also goes to the American Library Association Institutional Repository.
Okay.
And there's some free stuff there. It tends to be more specific.
Okay. I will look into that. Yeah, I think it's the Web Junction I recently learned, and I'm like, oh, this is very helpful in understanding what the 006 field is for. I'm in that headache. And I may add, because I'm also working on simple basic cataloging tools for Koha. That is Koha specific. I mean, it overlaps, but it's more Koha specific because I'm using screenshots for Koha. That this version won't have that, but I may update with a link to that so that it can go there. Is there anything else that looks
Just
like
wanted to add, our presentation will include numerous screenshots of how to do stuff too. I was planning to do that yesterday and the draft to Lauren today, but things happen. So I will do it as soon as I can.
Yeah, and I was wanting to get further along. I can also, I guess, while I can show people what I have and see if I'm on the right path. So for our presentation, what I'm going to share is these steps, and I'm trying to mark, what you're doing at each major step. So like you can skip if you're needing to. And then the goal is at each one have where I got the information or where I created it. And this is what I have not done yet. So I've had to create for me. So I can remember, I have a horrible memory. until I learn something, how to move and swap. So those steps that I have listed on here, I'm wanting to link. The other, but all of those I'm putting in the Koha education drive. So, so that one, it's not in my personal drive. I don't have to keep up with it. It's in the education drive, and it's a little bit more for, you can get to it. If you're in Koha education, you can get to it easily. Maybe we can create some shortcuts in a cataloging drive or something, but
I
that
think
way,
a lot of
it's
these
what-
resources might be really good on the koha-US website, and then can even on the Koha community wiki, because there is an area in the Koha community wiki where we have some sample cataloging records, and we can always put in some, cataloging guides for US based cataloging. Or RDA based cataloging, Mark 21 based cataloging. Yeah, these are terrific.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to put a lot of my stuff on the education committee Google Drive too. No, I'm not dying. And I
Okay,
actually
good,
gave
you can't.
myself a COVID test. Came down okay. Oh, and I was working on also how to link to images and actually PDFs stored on the Koha server, but that I think we can wait till maybe September. Well,
Sure, we can,
late
yeah,
the
we've only got a
second-
couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, on our 2nd September, we can talk about that. That's something that we've done in our catalog is we've uploaded some PDFs to our bib, and it's great. It's really great. And also taking advantage of the feature that if I'm cataloging something that my institutions put up on YouTube, it plays right in the player on Koha.
Gonna leave for a moment. If I'm not back by time you end the meeting, see you later.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I think, hold on. There we go.